Hey friends, I wanted to shoot an update video since a recent video that I recorded was about my panic attacks. Kind of the start of what became clear is panic disorder, um, because I shot that video after I had one panic attack when I was working with a client, and then the next weekend, I had another panic attack when I was filming a wedding. I'm actually right now in a hotel going to be shooting my first wedding since that panic attack. So that's going to be really interesting because this is a destination wedding. I had to drive out a couple hours, and I've got another 40 minutes out to the location tomorrow because it's so remote, that this was the closest hotel I could get. Today is September 12th as I'm recording this. I had my first panic attack on August 9th, so it's been a little over a month, and it has been one hell of a month, if I can be quite honest. I have been incredibly busy. I have had a lot of client work, as well as learning cognitive behavioral therapy, putting that into practice, started seeing a therapist. I tried and am getting off of Prozac. I didn't love what that was doing. And I was seeing enough improvement that I was feeling like, okay, I want to see if I can do this truly by myself and not rely on medication. Um, and so far, it's not perfect, but it's going okay. Um, I'm able to push through my anxiety, which I think is really important because learning to self-regulate, learning my nervous system, learning that it's okay, I am safe, it's okay, things that trigger me are like being out of breath or feeling like my heart is just pounding, things like that, because those are panic attack symptoms that often happen with panic attacks. And so learning that, oh, I'm actually safe during these moments, and iterating to myself, hey, you are safe, you are okay, this is what your body is supposed to do in these circumstances, is really powerful. It helps me get my body doing what it's supposed to do again, learning what actually is dangerous and what is not, and learning to self-regulate, which is really important. And I've done a lot of reflection on kind of how I got to the point where I started having panic attacks. A lot of it, I have to say, was self-inflicted. You guys know, if you've watched my channel for a while, I'm very passionate about supporting Ukraine. I had a TikTok channel where I made hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of videos reporting on Russian attacks against civilians, on other news, on breaking down what Russian propagandists were saying and debunking it, all sorts of things. I was on Twitter for most of the whole full-scale invasion, and I was pretty aggressive and active there. And that's not either a positive or negative judgment on that. That's what I did. I was deeply involved. I have opinions on if that actually made a difference. I really question at this point the efficacy and the benefit of that time, that emotional stress that I put myself through. I question if it actually was worth the effort, worth the stress that I put myself through for that. Seeing war crime after war crime and horrible thing after horrible thing without properly processing it, without properly emotionally dealing with it, it took a toll on me. It took a very strong toll on me. And, if I go back and look at my TikTok videos, there were times that I knew it was where I tried to take a little break, and oftentimes I would leave that break or leave that hiatus because there was another attack and I felt like it was my obligation to cover it. I pushed myself and I pushed myself and I pushed myself and I pushed my emotions past the breaking point over and over again because it was the right thing to do, or so I told myself. I told myself that this is what I have to do because I am, I care about Ukraine. I care about people that I know in Ukraine. And this is the way that I help them. That's what I told myself. But all to say, like, I was putting emotional burden after emotional burden on myself. And if you've watched my channel for a while, you know that I am not a Trump guy. Not a bit. And so him winning all of the stuff he's doing added a layer to that. And then I got really busy and I was not doing anything to decompress myself, to take care of myself. The workload was intense. Trying to keep up with all of my client work, it just kind of exploded. Wonderful thing, but I didn't have the personal infrastructure and the reserves to really feel like, okay, I can handle this work. It was just like, okay, I am going to be broke if I don't handle this work. And so I took way more than I knew that I should. I said yes to things that I knew I shouldn't. And ultimately, all of those things bit me in the ass. And I also happen to be an HSP, highly sensitive person, so I feel my emotions and sensory, just like things can be a lot more overwhelming. A loud party can be much more overstimulating to me and roughly 15 to 20% of the population than most people. That's part of the highly sensitive person thing. We also tend to feel things much deeper. We're often connected to being empaths. Some HSPs are, some aren't. I do think I'm somewhere on that spectrum because I feel things incredibly deeply for people who are suffering. I kind of set myself up to have panic attacks. I set myself up for panic disorder. Like, I either had to stop engaging with the politics and the geopolitics and what was going on with all of the bombings of Ukraine, etc., or I was going to hit this point. And I pulled back too late because I saw it coming in a way. I didn't think I was going to have a panic attack. It didn't even occur to me, honestly, but I saw myself burning out. And so I tried to pull back, but it was too late. It was much too late at that point. And so I had the panic attack. Just basically, I just wanted to make a little update video to share kind of where I'm at. And I do want to say I am doing a lot better now. I want to talk about this more in my next video, but I am cutting out a lot of news. I'm cutting out a lot of politics. I'm cutting out a lot of those stressful things. I have taken down that TikTok channel. Basically, I have privated all of those videos and have really worked to change that feed. I have deleted my Twitter account. You have to deactivate it and wait for 30 days for it to delete. That time has passed, that 30 days has passed. So my Twitter is gone. And so I'm getting myself on a path that's going to be better. And I have seen huge, huge improvements. Kind of what motivated me to make this video, sitting in this hotel room, is at first after the panic attack, driving even like 15 minutes, I would start to feel panicky. And today I drove, around hour and a half to 2 hours straight to this hotel. And that is huge. That is huge improvement. I was not panicking the whole time. I felt quite stressed early on. I did some breathing exercises. I did some mantras, which are really, really powerful. Things like, I am safe. My body is doing what it's supposed to do. I can breathe. I am alive. I am safe. Things like that help kind of reframe my well-being and showing me that I am okay, that I am safe, that everything is all right. And that's really, really powerful and really, really important. And I am seeing the fruits of it. I still have days where I am incredibly anxious, and sometimes I almost push to the edge of panic. Just earlier this week, I took a walk around my block. My heart rate got up. It was really warm out. I started feeling really, really stressed. By the time I got to my apartment, I was almost feeling a little dizzy, a little dissociated. I did not hit full panic attack. I was able to lay on my bed and breathe and relax, and I was okay. But that still happens. But I also have these big wins like today where I drive an hour and a half. I do not hit near that point. I feel okay. I feel safe. Everything is all right. And here I am feeling very calm, an hour and a half to 2 hours away from my place, and it's great. So I guess I wanted to celebrate that and encourage people, if you have had panic attacks, if you have panic disorder, things like cognitive behavioral therapy, careful exposure therapy under the guidance of a counselor, these things are incredibly, incredibly powerful. And I have literally seen the difference firsthand. Again, I'm a month out from my first panic attack, only 3 weeks out from my second. And I'm able to move through discomfort. I have done 2 successful commercial shoots, even though sometimes I felt incredibly uncomfortable during them, incredibly anxious. I was able to take a second, sometimes stop, deep breathe, and push on. And that is so exciting and so powerful, because I see, like, after my first panic attack, I was on Reddit and forums and Google, and a lot of people deal with this panic for years, and it doesn't get any better. And of course it was like, oh no, what if that's going to be me? But I did a lot of research. The reality is this: most people who really put in the work, who do the safe exposure therapy, who learn cognitive behavioral therapy and put it into practice, get better. Maybe you still have, are a little bit more anxious, but you get better. And you don't necessarily need medication. I'm not saying don't use medication if you need it. I'm saying medication isn't the only option. The difference in if you execute cognitive behavioral therapy and proper exposure therapy with panic attacks and anxiety, like without something like Prozac, it's 80% of people see massive improvement. With Prozac, 90% do. So that difference, that 10% difference, maybe for some people that really is going to make a big difference. Use the medication. I personally did not like the way that I felt on the medication. I did not like how I felt getting on it. I have not liked how I felt coming off of it. I did not like what it was doing, blunting my emotions. I did not like what it was doing to me physically, if you know what I'm saying. It was not a great thing for me. But here I am, drove by myself an hour and a half away to a hotel. The wedding's about another 40 minutes away, so it'll be, driving a total of over 2 hours to a wedding somewhere I have never been, and I'll be fine. I'll be able to do it. I know that even if tomorrow I get really anxious, I'll be able to breathe through it. I'll be okay. I'll be able to ground myself. And that gives me incredible confidence, because the biggest thing that I have repeated is I want my life back. I felt like panic took my life away. And now through effort, through counseling, through guidance, but through the work that I am doing primarily, I'm getting my life back, and that's really, really exciting.